It's going down. Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And as always, I would like to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Economists issue Grim 2023 forecast. Okay, as you see right here, this is going to be a major update concerning the global economy, which would include the economies of these various different countries on this globe. So the global economy is headed for a downturn as inflation remains a major threat, a report says. Now, as you may know, this whole inflation situation that is going on within these different countries is all being done by the so-called elites. Okay, they are systematically issuing in a inflation to bring down these economies of these different countries. Why? For the sole purpose of implementing or issuing in their new world order. Because the so-called elites, they have an agenda called the New World Order. And a part of their agenda is to bring the economies of these different countries down, really to bring you people out of your comfort zone. They want you people to go out there and riot and protest. They want to spark civil unrest so you can go out there and riot and cry for change. And we know that when you people do that change, that the change that the so-called elites are going to come with is going to be the NWO. Okay? And what they're doing is really presumably, what they're doing is basically going into what you see on the back of your $1 bill. If you look on the back of your $1 bill, you'll see a Latin term called ordo ahchyam. We know that ordo is Latin for order, ab is Latin for out, and then you have chaos, which is chaos. So really it's order out of chaos. And they intend on bringing this new world order after orchestrating chaos upon the planet. That's why you're hearing about protests everywhere. You're hearing about riots everywhere. Everybody is out there crying and complaining about the cost of living crisis, energy costs. People are rioting because they ain't got no gas. Gas shortages. And who's at the forefront of all these issues on the planet? The so-called elites, who call themselves Rothschilds and Rockefellers. So like it tells you in the book of Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Are the people of the earth in a state of rejoicing? The answer is no. Are the animals in a state of rejoicing? No. Are the insects in a state of rejoicing? No. Is the marine life in a state of rejoicing? No. Are the fowls of the air, are they in a state of rejoicing? No. The whole world is mourning. Even the planet itself is mourning because of continuous fracking and geoengineering, chemtrails, constant pollution of factories, nuclear plants, you name it. So the globe will slide into a recession. But nonetheless, we know that the Heavenly Father, He's using the so-called elites. Okay, they're using the left hand side to orchestrate this inflation. Okay, so the Heavenly Father through His Son is using the so-called elites, which are on the left-hand side, to bring issue in this inflation. Why? Because the time of Edom's judgment is at hand, and Edom is going to be judged. So the globe will slide into a recession next year. Okay, and I don't know why they're saying next year. Okay, first off, the United States of America been in a recession. We've been in a recession, believe it or not. Okay, we've been in a recession really since this whole Crown Royale 19 situation. Okay, ever since that came on the scene. Okay, and a lot of these people, who had to stay at home, and a lot of these jobs and businesses closed down. Guess what? That's where that recession really started to grow. And where do you get a recession from? Okay, a high unemployment rate. When a country's GDP, gross domestic production, starts to drop, which this country's GDP been dropping. Okay, whatever numbers they give you on a GDP, don't believe it. Okay, the GDP here in America is low. That's why food prices are rising. Gas prices are rising. Certain businesses are closing down that they're not reporting in the news, and they're going overseas because this country's GDP is dropping. So high unemployment rate, low GDP, a slowdown in economic activity, all that is what puts a country in a recession. So the globe will slide into a recession next year, and I don't see it next year for this country. Okay, as a number of economies will contract due to surging borrowing costs introduced to combat inflation. The UK-based Centre for Economics and Businesses Research has predicted in its latest report. The world economy surpassed $100 trillion for the first time ever in 2022, but will stall in 2023 as the battle against inflation is not won yet. And it's not going to be won. Okay? It's going to continue to down spiral, right down the drain. While regulators will keep raising interest rates, the consultancy said in its annual World Economic League table, we expect central bankers to stick to their guns in 2023 despite the economic costs. Well, just because you expect something does not mean it's going to happen. The cost of bringing inflation down to more comfortable levels is a more proper growth outlook for the number of years to come. The director and head of forecasting, CBER, K. Daniel Newfield, wrote, well, hey, look, man. Look. So here it is, as bad as this country is doing, right? Don't you know the United States is talking about sending more money to aid Ukraine? Don't you know they're getting ready to send more heavy artillery to Ukraine? Okay, this year alone they're already talking about spending billions to aid Ukraine in their battle against Russia, which is only going to further what? Inflate the dollar and lead to the further devaluation of the dollar. Because the more money you print, the more the dollar loses its value. And the more the dollar loses its value, the less buying force it has. So one of these days, you people, you're going to wake up and you're going to find out that the dollars inside your pocket is worth mere quarters, and then eventually it'd be worth mere pennies. And in those days, like it tells you in Ezekiel 7 and 19, you people, you're going to throw your silver and your gold in the streets because the dollar is going to be worthless in those days. Okay? Or you think they're coming out with all these cryptocurrencies because they plan on making currency digital, and we know what that means by they want to make currency digital. They really want your currency to be on a device the size of a grain of rice. Okay, I'm talking about the CHIP, which is the MOTV. Okay, so it says here, right, that, the report's conclusions are more pessimistic than the most recent forecast by International Monetary Fund, which predicted in October that more than a third of the world's economy will contract in 2023. CBER, which bases its growth, inflation, and exchange rate forecast on data from the IMF and in-house model, said that inflation has become the main economic story of the past year. The analysts warned that even though we are starting to see price growth decelerating in some economies, volatility in global energy markets and entrenched core inflation suggests that it will remain front and center in 2023 as well. The consultancy also predicted that China will outperform the U.S. and become the world's largest economy by 2036. Their inward thought is that their kingdoms shall continue forever. Okay, there ain't no 2036. It says 6 years later than previously expected due to the country's zero, crown royal policy, escalating trade tensions with the West, which have slowed its growth. According to the study, India's economy will become the third largest overall by 2032 and will reach the 10 trillion mark by 2035. 2035, man, my goodness. This country is finished. Economics issue real warning. Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 5. Okay, bear with me for one moment. This window is going to be loading. Okay, Zephaniah 3 and 5. It says, "The just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame." So every morning doth the Lord bring his judgment to light. And what do you see right here? You see you see Economists issuing dire warnings for 2023. Okay, economy global crisis, like you see here in the picture. And this is all the result of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, executing his judgment upon this world. Okay, so with that I'm going to say Shalom. So on to the next one.